What is going on, everyone? Anthony here, and welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast. I have two very special guests this episode. It's been a first time since I've had any of these guys on the show, and I'd like to welcome Andrew and Charlie on the podcast today. What is going on, guys?
Hello.
What is up?
This is a crazy day because, we planned this to, do this podcast, and, we thought, oh yeah, we still have, about 9 or 8 days left of the campaign. But as of this recording of this episode, we smashed the goal for the Keeper's Diary.
Oh,
It's happening, guys. This is such a crazy time, just talking about it, promoting it, but like it's finally hit its goal, and it's going to happen. This dream project is going to be happening. It's just incredible, and I can't thank the community enough for like just all the support and everyone just spreading the word. I mean, even if people didn't get a chance to donate, you still can. There's still perks available. But like just sharing it and talking about it helped out so much, and this is just an incredible day to see this happening.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I was floored.
Yeah. We smashed that goal today. It's at 109%, just shy of 44,000 in donations, 502 backers, 9 days left to go. That's just insane. We had the most insane boost within the last like 12 plus hours with those executive producer perk donations. We had a couple associate producer perk donations. That's what really kind of launched it over the edge. So to those of you guys that donated and bought those perks, thank you. So everybody that bought perks, I mean, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You're amazing. You're the best. And for those of you that shared the link as well and got the word out there, yeah, you guys are awesome. So thank you so much for everyone's support.
Yeah, it was nuts just to see, that, to really have the fans, really speak up and kind of say, you know what, this is kind of an opportunity to see a project where it's really going to be made from the heart and love of the franchise, and yeah. I think that's what people saw in that campaign. And when we launched everything, it was like, okay, yeah, they're really trying to. And a lot of people were asking questions too, like even in my live stream, like yeah, just different things, like how are you guys gonna do certain things, or how are things gonna be pulled off. And I told people not to worry, because it's gonna be something that we are gonna take very seriously now that especially everything is good to go, and we'll be able to make this a project that's gonna be something that no one's ever seen for any kind of live adaptation for, Resident Evil. Like, we're trying to set the bar here.
Yeah. And I can tell your audience that everything is planned. I mean, we have a plan for production design. We have a plan for visual effects. We have a plan for special effects makeup. Like, we got it all planned, so it's all there, without going into too many details. But in regards to how things are going to get done, like, there's a plan behind it. So each person has been assigned to their department in the film. So I mean, once those dates in October come, we're ready to go. So
yeah, definitely. And it's definitely such a great feeling to know that we're gonna keep putting stuff in motion. And I wanted to, especially having Charlie on here as well, because, this is a great opportunity to talk to you, Charlie, as well. If people don't know, you should know that you are the OG Chris Redfield from the original RE1, from the, live action cutscene, and, the opening that's kind of burned into our memories just as RE fans, and this is something where, there's not a lot. I never had an opportunity. The only person I talked to from the first game who did the voice acting was on the voice acting side of things anyway, was Pablo Kuntz. I've talked to him. So I've never had anyone else on the show that was associated with the game in that regard. So I kind of wanted to wind the clocks back a little bit with just the celebration of Resident Evil and us kind of talking about it. How was that kind of that entry into getting contacted by Capcom or presented with that project back then? I'd like to hear that story.
Oh, sure. So at that time, I was wearing two hats. I was a full-time actor, did some modeling, did some voiceovers, but I was also working as a talent agent, as like a casting manager, handling other Western talent. And so the agency I worked for, IMO, got the exclusive for that job, and they listened a lot to what our agency recommended. So I was kind of a shoo-in, and basically I had no idea what it was about, but it was the coolest thing that I had ever landed, and I knew it was something special. The whole production was very secretive throughout, and that's just kind of the way it is with Capcom, and they were trying to just tell us as little as possible. So it was kind of an interesting experience. And then, the long and the short of it is that just because of copyright things and the name being Resident Evil here, and it was Biohazard there, I didn't even realize I was a part of it. In a 20 years or something. It was like 2018 or something that I kind of put it all together. So it's just a weird sort of scenario where we all landed here now, and we're doing these amazing things together, and I couldn't be more thankful. And like today just felt like a big, huge relief, just like a weight off my shoulder.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I think a lot of people have so many amazing stories and attachments to this franchise over the 27 years and counting that it's been, going on. So I think that's why a lot of people kind of have a real attachment to it, especially with a franchise going on this long, and there's so many different forms of it coming out between the years. And I think it's crazy how people are still kind of discovering it and going back and finding the older games, especially the original that started it all. I mean, it really was such an iconic game at that time, and it still is. I mean, it still carries on where people still want to play the old games, and they still want to play and live stream stuff, do mods that keep these games alive. And I think that just shows it's a true testament of how it affected us just growing up, and how it's stuck with us, and it goes through generations. As far as the process behind even filming that scene, that intro scene, how was that in terms of that process? Was it one of those things where you just kind of went in and you were kind of just meeting everyone for the first time, at least all the actors that were also on set? How was that initial process with filming that? Was it, how many days was it? What was it behind that scene?
Yeah, so there was a time where all the people that were selected, it was a project that was basically photo selection, so there was no audition. And then the people that were selected first came to a fitting, and that was the first time we were all together, so that was one day. And then in my case, I had a few more days with a hair salon, so they could dye my hair. Well, they just used peroxide on my hair. And shooting was, I think, a total of 3 days for me.
Okay.
The location where we did the scenes, in the tall grass, and then another day in the studio where we did the credits, and then another day on another location where we did the helicopter, the ending scene. And that was basically it. And there wasn't a lot of information about it. It was just kind of very vague. I think they told us a little bit of backstory about our characters, and that it was a video game, but they didn't really tell us too much about, what the whole concept of it, because they just didn't want it to leak out.
Yeah, it's like them trying to keep everything as, as secret as possible, and trying to, just especially with that at the time, I think, them also utilizing the those kind of the live action, cutscenes and stuff like that. That was such a unique thing, especially with PlayStation at the time, because they were kind of taking advantage of that technology. So just seeing that, I just remember that was just so cool as a kid, because my dad got the game, and that's kind of how I stumbled into it, because he just had it around, and I just remember seeing that, and I was just like, I'd never seen anything like it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing it from that, because then they moved to obviously CGI cutscenes in the games after that. But man, yeah, that was definitely it's just such a iconic. All those scenes are, and it's cool to hear some of that backstory, because for a while it seemed like it was hard to kind of get in contact with some people who were involved with the project, or like you said, you kind of put the pieces together in like 2018. You're just like, oh, okay, like this was that when you realized like, oh wow, like this there's a massive fan base, and also people trying to reach out and talk to me about this.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to put it together, and I honestly thought, that we were just going to blow the lid off this crowdfunding right out of the gates, and I was getting nervous about it, because it kind of slowed down after about 60% for, quite a few days, and then just out of left field, everything just all fell into place. And I think it's just taking a little longer for the word to get out in the community, but it seems like it's taking on like a virus, shall we say?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing too. I think the fans are just excited to see everyone that's attached to it, and everyone just getting excited to really see what fans can really do with something that is something that's so near and dear to our hearts, and how we would like to handle it. Because for years, some people would say, oh well, if you're gonna sit here online or do a video and criticize a movie, like how I would review a live action RE film and talk about it and say certain things and be like, all right, well, let me see you do better. What could you do? And now it's like, it's kind of like that I'm a part of this project, and we're all serious about making this happen. Now it's like we're putting the pedal to the metal here. It's like, that's kind of what this Keeper's Diary project is about, is really just really showing what we can bring to the table. And like you said, the fans definitely show kind of that passion that, again, kind of goes with a franchise that's been going on for this long, that it seems like it's almost like it happens. It's a mainstream game, but it's also like, some people don't even know how big RE fans actually are, or how dedicated they are. Very much like horror fans, where it's like it's such a dedicated community. So people are going to be there for anything like this, or going to get behind something like this when they realize that there's some genuine passion that's going behind it.